Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 48 of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carcillo, and in beautiful Los Angeles, actually, it's a rare, beautiful day. The past week, it's been nothing but rain, but today it is sunny, so we have a nice little reprieve. And as always, join my best friend over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, how's it going today?
Ray, it's beautiful here in Philadelphia, too.
Awesome.
And that's the show, Optimism!
Yay!
No, it's beautiful here today. It's going to be up in the 50 to 60 degree range. Just went for a walk with my family. I'm enjoying the scenario that we're in. Not really, but I am. And we're happy to be here today with everything that's going on to give you a distraction on your news feed from whatever else might be on there. We're excited about this. This is something else.
Yes.
Welcome to Geeks Who Liked Sports.
Yes, Geeks Who Liked Sports. Because unfortunately,
sports.
We have a big show planned for today, folks. We have the juiciest of rumors regarding DC Comics and DC in general. We've got a little bit of sports
This
news.
is the distraction you've been looking for.
Yes, no, seriously. This is something that we want to hear what your comments are. We've got a really good show for you guys, but we do, obviously, the elephant in the room. Obviously, around the world, everybody's being infected by the coronavirus, COVID-19. So we need to start with that because obviously we are geeks who liked sports because every sport has been suspended or canceled.
That's not true. As we are recording this, UFC is still going on somehow. And it's Sunday, March 15th. We're recording this a day earlier because my kids are going to be home from school for the next few weeks. Also, I expect them to be canceled tonight, but for somehow the English Ice Hockey League is still playing games today after the English Elite League canceled all their games. It's ice hockey in England, stiff upper lip, very English of them to do that. But they're playing still. So shout out to the second-tier ice hockey professional league in England. You guys just don't care.
I mean, you gotta. I guess I don't know. You're gonna do what you're gonna do, right? I mean, we obviously don't have control or say over a lot of those things. All we can say is Lee and I are trying our best to adhere to all the suggestions that have been given. Like Lee said, because of Pennsylvania closing schools, his kids are home. So we're recording this on a Sunday. Typically, we record on a Monday or Tuesday. So you're gonna probably get this in your feed maybe a little earlier than normal. It is Sunday, March 15th. So I mean, it is a fascinating series of events. All the sports league folks. If you watch Sports Center, it's the weirdest thing in the world because they have nothing to talk about.
Nothing.
They are trying to find good stories. Guys like Bobrovsky in the NHL helping arena workers because obviously some people their pay is threatened. Good stories. Good sports-related stories. Spencer Dinwiddie of the Nets put forward suggested a new NBA playoff bracket potentially.
Yeah, man, it's a weird time, dude.
Yeah, it is.
It's a weird time.
We will get into that later. But yeah, I mean, the big
ESPN wishes they were us. They wish they could talk about geek stuff too right now. Amidst all of this craziness. But here's what I want you guys to do. If you're watching this and you want us to do more of these, if you need the distraction, let us know and comment because we'll actually record more episodes if we need to.
We have the time.
Yeah, and the technology to do this. We can rebuild it. No, let us know. Let us know what you're doing. Let us know if you need us to record more episodes of Geeks Who Liked Sports because we're happy to do it. We love doing it. It's a distraction for us as well. Listen, today, seriously, as Ray said, we actually have some pretty amazing things like news today that's not COVID-19. So you'll enjoy this episode.
I mean, we got a lot of geek stuff. I feel we should mix up and actually do sports. Should we do sports firstly, or should we just?
Sure, I've got a couple things we could talk about.
All right. I mean, we'll do sports first to tease the juiciness that is the rumors of the geek stuff. There's a lot of great geek stuff going on. I mean, we've got a ton of stuff, but like we mentioned, NBA. If you look at their website, it's just nothing but suggestions on how to prevent the coronavirus. We had the first infected baseball player announced today, a minor leaguer for the New York Yankees. But yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of being safe and being smart. Spencer Dinwiddie, again, he suggested that when the NBA comes back, they do a March Madness style tournament Top 4 seeds get a bye. Bottom 4 seeds are the first 4, the play-in games, and then the rest you have the bracket as normal. To kind of there's also rumors of that possibly floating in the NHL. The NHL immediately poo-pooed that. So it was very, 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 very interesting to see the two major sports that usually are happening right now. Very different approaches. People seem to be very liked Dinwiddie's idea for the NBA. Seem to hate it for the NHL, which is very interesting.
That makes sense. It makes sense with the NBA that people would love it because of March Madness. They already have a proven test of it. You know, it'd be cool to see NBA players do that. The NBA also has changed their postseason enough in the last, let's just say, 30 years that like change is not exactly a shocker in that league. The NHL is 7 games, 4 rounds. It has never changed, and I don't expect it to now. Someone asked me this the other day. With the NHL, what I would expect when they come back, I do expect them to come back, is either they will just play out the full season in the playoffs and the season will end much later than it ever has, or they'll do something where there's a mini regular season to get every team up to 75 games, give or take. I mean, because they're almost there already. I think the most games played right now is 72. So they're already like 10 games away from the end of the season, but they have to get everybody even, and then they would just start the playoffs. But look, it's just one of those things. Like it's a day-to-day thing. Everything's 2 weeks right now. That can change. It can become 2 more weeks. So you just have to kind of wait and see and watch reruns. Now, Ray, in my mental fantasy league, the Flyers have gone undefeated the last 2 games, and they've won by a combined score of 637-2. All right. Again, this is my fantasy league, right? And check this out, Ray. The Rangers won out and made the playoffs.
Nice. I like your fantasy league. This is a great league.
Yeah. They I think they knocked out, who did they knock out in my brain? I think it was Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh did not make the playoffs.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is truly the best case scenario.
We can have fun with this, Ray.
Yes.
Right? Now the playoffs start soon. I already know who's going to win the cup in my mental fantasy league, but you know, it is what it is. And then in other news, I'll get to it. Let me know when you want me to do stuff that I have.
In other fantasy news, I've gone back to playing old sports games. In video games, I played a lot of Madden NFL 18 yesterday. That's actually the last Madden I have on my console, and it just I did the thing where I'm a little tired today because so I've been trying to get onto a regular sleep schedule, as Lee is aware, because I'm more of a nocturnal person, but I'm trying to get on a human, normal person sleep schedule.
You know what? Don't be normal, Ray. Just be you.
But
you don't have to be normal.
So I have this thing, though, where I can't... If I go to bed before midnight, I will not sleep through the night. So I was really tired last night, about 10 o'clock. And I'm like, all right, I gotta figure out how to get 2 hours. So I started playing Madden, and I started grinding an achievement, which is win one game with every team. And I thought, I can change it to like...
Oh, no, Ray.
Yeah, and
Ray.
And I was like, I can change the quarters to be like 1 minute. I can make this like super quick games. I can still do this. I can grind this. I'm sure I can. I can do this in 2 hours. 5 hours later, I was still grinding.
Ray,
and
no.
I'm like, it's 3:30 in the morning. I'm like, I guess I'm going to be tired for this show tomorrow.
Man, you should have. Why didn't you live cast that? You should have totally been on Twitch with that. People would have been rooting you on, but they're dying for stuff like that right now.
I know.
Now you have to do it again tonight.
I didn't think of that because I was just thinking, this will be a quick achievement. And no, I mean,
there's 32 teams.
Yeah, I mean, mind you, I already.
How long does a game last?
I mean, even with 1 minute quarters, the games still took 10 minutes each. So
look, I'm not a mathematician here, man, but 32 times 10, that's a bit of time.
Well, yeah, it took 5 hours.
You're supposed to be the smart one of this group.
Yeah, I know.
Let's just be honest. Let's be honest with you listening at home. Ray, you enjoyed it.
Yeah,
every minute of it.
I did.
You loved every minute of it.
You'll appreciate this. I put on my Twitter at Ray Carcillo a highlight of me playing as the Eagles.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, actually, you'll appreciate it. It was actually a really good play. You'll actually find. Remember, only 1 minute quarter, so it's a very low score, but it was a great play. It was Darren Sproles, a pass to Darren Sproles. Him and the defender go up at the same time because Sproles is very short. It pops up, and Ertz is like 5 feet away, and it falls into Ertz's lap, and then he runs in for a touchdown. Watch that on my Twitter. It's very fun.
Who was the QB?
It was Wentz. Oh,
okay. So
I think it was like his rookie year. Yeah, like.
Okay. Wow. Well done. Well, we did win the Super Bowl that year.
That's right. That's right. That was the year that they won.
Yes.
Ended up winning the Super Bowl, and still in Madden NFL 18. If you want the play now game, is still Patriots versus Eagles, but they're recalibrated because the Eagles. Funny enough, when that game launched, the Eagles were a 76 to 78 overall. In the Super Bowl, they were a 92. So
yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And who was the 32nd team that you chose?
So I just went in alphabetical order. So the Vikings were
Of course you did.
Yeah, so the Vikings were the last team to get that. Yeah, I mean, also
I went in alphabetical order.
Yeah, I just went alphabetical order. I just went one at a time. Dum 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 dum.
Sorry,
and it was just
I don't know why I didn't realize that to begin with. Well, I mean, how did you win with Miami or the Redskins?
You know what? It was there were some games that were harder than others, especially with, you have to remember again, some of these games, Miami and Washington were not the worst teams in the game that going year. Into that. Actually, the worst teams were the Rams.
Cleveland. Yeah,
actually, the Rams and the Jets were the two worst teams in 4 years ago in Madden.
4 years. This is 18. You said.
It Madden NFL 18, so that came out.
Oh, 20's out now. Yeah.
So
okay, you're right.
August. It came out August of 17. So 2.5.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
2.5 years ago. 2.5 years ago.
So let me get this straight. Now, did you go 32-0? Is the real question.
Funny enough, the one game that I was losing as the Cardinals, because the Cardinals also weren't very good, my power went out for 5 minutes, and I got to start that game over.
Hilarious. That's hilarious. So 10 minutes times 32 is let's see. I'm doing some quick math here. All right. Yep, 5 hours. That's exactly how long it would take.
Took 5 hours.
We did the comes out to that. So you did do it well. Amazing, Ray. Amazing. You are a hero, sir. And next time you do this, if you don't live cast it, I will find you. I will hurt you.
I know. I really should when I go achievement hunting like this. That's actually one of the most fun stuff.
Especially right now, man.
Yeah.
People are toilet paper hunting. You could be achievement hunting. Come on now.
Yeah, no, it's true. I'm actually having a great month right now in my gamer score. I've gotten over 2,100 points in my gamer score this month, which is it's a banner month for me in video games.
You're such a geek.
Yeah. Actually,
who liked sports?
Really quickly, something that because we're talking about games, and we're going to get to a proper geek section later. We will wrap this back into sports. Couple of recommendations for everybody. MLB The Show 20 comes out Tuesday, the 17th. If you need a sports fix or a gaming fix, this is a great time to pick that up. You can buy it digitally through your PlayStation. The new Doom comes out next Friday, the 20th. Ori and the Will of the Wisps, if you're an Xbox player, just came out. It's a great platformer. So just a couple of recommendations from us if you're looking for things to do while you're at home. Because for me, I was built for this, folks. I was built for quarantine. This is actually nothing new than my normal day. I work, I send emails.
Ray and I were talking, so nothing changes for you. He's like, no.
Nope.
No, it's just normal day.
Normal. Business is normal. So,
all right. So, listen, I have a list here, Ray.
Oh.
Okay.
Wait, before we get to the list, because I talked about Madden.
Ray,
because I talked about Madden.
Yes. I'm going to put my list down, Ray. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. NFL CBA was agreed to last night.
Yes, it was, which is big. It's big. So that 17-game season, I saw on there.
Yeah, we talked about changing playoffs before as well. It's a big deal now that the NFL is going to change their format. Yes, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with everything going on with the draft and everything. But NFL will now be 17 games of football, which is I'm happy with that. And they reduced preseason by 1 game, so nothing severely changed. Just one more game matters. Another chance to get injured. Okay. Yeah, and it guarantees, if football is played, it guarantees football for the next 10 years. It was a 10-year CBA,
which is good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very good, and it very narrow vote. It only won by 60. It only won by 60 votes of the 2,000 players who could vote in the NFL. It only won by
Yeah, well, it also means more money for the players. The NFL CBA and the NFLPA have always worked pretty well with each other. I mean, there's been a kind of an understanding there, better than other leagues. NHL. Sorry, I coughed there.
Yeah, NHL, MLB. Yeah.
Speaking of NHL, MLB, and the other leagues, I've got a list here. Okay. Now, I got to preface this list that I mean this in to be funny and in good taste. So don't take this too serious, Ray. But I have teams here that are happy that this thing is going on.
The Knicks.
Okay. Yeah. No. So I got a list of teams here. I've got a list of teams here that are like that. This is the best thing that could have happened for them.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best thing, but it's a good. Okay. Number one on my list is the Detroit Red Wings and the Detroit Lions. Red Wings were in hell this season. It's an end to the hell.
Yeah.
For them, right? They get a break that they much desperately need. There you go. The Golden State Warriors probably are like, hey, we can get healthy. Maybe we can get in this thing. They can't, but
Yeah. Currently the worst team in the NBA. Yeah.
Yep. Washington Redskins are probably a little bit. If they were in season, this would be nice. The Tampa Bay Vipers and the Seattle Dragons of the XFL.
Yeah.
They're probably. This is not a horrible thing. And above all, the number one team that needed this to happen. Again, quotations. Okay.
Yeah.
The Houston Astros. The Houston Astros.
Oh yes.
Literally dodged the bullet.
Yeah. This is huge for them.
Talk about a distraction when you needed one the most.
Yeah. I hope that the players in the league and the fans have a long memory. Because we will
They will.
We will get baseball at some point, even if it's a truncated season that starts in like June or whatever.
Yes.
Or maybe even July. I saw some people were talking about it starting around where the All-Star break used to start, where it would start fourth. They'd have preseason in June, or they'd resume spring training in June, and then they would start like around 4th of July, and then have like a truncated 80-game season. But this is the Houston Astros, the Houston Cheaters, the worst people in baseball who should be banned from the sport for life. This is exactly what they needed.
But I want to say that, again, totally joking here, but those are 6 or 7 teams that needed this. And I'd also like to declare, Ray, the DC Defenders champions of the XFL by default of their division, and no one can contest that. So
maybe
I did it first year. I don't want to talk about any other teams. Just want to talk about my DC Defenders are on top. They're above New York. Ray, I have won the XFL season. Thank you.
Actually, Houston had the best record.
The DC Defenders on top of the East. They are the team that has won the XFL.
By tiebreakers, they were the number 1 seed in the East. Yes,
still number 1. Look at that. I'm gonna sip from my Starbucks mug.
All the teams were 3 and 2 in the East except for Tampa Bay because Tampa Bay's terrible.
Semantics, Ray. Semantics.
But again, Houston was 5-0. Houston looked like they were going to run away with it, maybe, but.
We'll never know.
We'll never know exactly.
Yeah,
we have no idea because unfortunately the XFL has said they have canceled, not suspended, canceled the season. The season is done. They will come back next year. They were very nice, allowed players to immediately sign with NFL teams if they so get it work out or whatever. They will get their full season salary as was promised to them, which is actually very good.
Which tells you this was a success, number one. Number
overall,
2, they're also still supporting the players with the medical staff because I think one of the players got the COVID-19 today. And they offered all players the ability to stay close to the teams and the medical staff. Look, you know what's cool, man? If you just scroll through your news feeds, it can be scary, but there's a lot of good out there right now. A lot of good things are happening. A lot of good people. A lot of good gestures, thus proving my belief that a majority of people actually aren't narcissistic morons and they're trying to hurt you. They're out there, but I think a majority of people actually are good. I mean, you look at what Italy's going through right now, and Italy is coming together. It just goes to show you, when stuff hits the fan, people tend to step up, and I'm seeing a lot of that. But just be careful how much of the news or the negative stuff you watch, because you'll drown in it. You'll drown in it if you want, and they want you to be fearful. So, not that you should not be aware, and not that you should not be taking things seriously. I promised Ray I wouldn't talk about this, and I did anyway. But just
be smart. Be smart.
Yeah, look around. There's a lot of good things happening right now.
Yes, wash your hands. You can still go outside. Just don't congregate in large groups. So we were talking about this before the show. Hoboken in New Jersey, my home state of New Jersey, has instituted a curfew. You have to be in by 10 p.m. Restaurants have closed their dining rooms, but they're still open for food delivery. If you need food, they will bring the food to you to minimize the human interaction. But I mean, obviously, we are social creatures. We can't get rid of it altogether. But I was watching.
Thank God we have the internet, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like seriously. Go ahead. Sorry.
And again, video games. Same thing with video games. Put on a headset, talk to your buddy or whatever, play games. Like, there are ways to still interact with each other and still have a good time without congregating in massive, massive groups.
Look, so my wife is, as Ray knows, my wife is a physician, and she's actually been at the kind of epicenter of this entire thing in Philadelphia. And she and I are actually going to probably, mostly her, are going to start doing videos a little bit just to kind of get people information. But it's as Ray just said, if you take the common approach that everyone's telling you to, wash your hands, good hygiene, stay inside. I'm sorry, stay quarantined from other people. If you're smart about this, you will be fine.
Yes.
Okay. And that's the message that every doctor I've spoken to is. It's when people are kind of dumb or they push this out of the way. It's like, the science is there to show if we don't do that right now, it's going to be a problem. So wash your hands, good hygiene, stay away from other people. You will be fine. Yeah.
And also, too, we also need to think of the positive. Of all the cases around the world, half of them have already gotten better. Like half of them have already been deemed as having not necessarily cured, but that they've gotten better, that they're healthy now, that they're okay, that they have antibodies. I mean, there was even talk about in England, they're not going to do this, but there was talk about trying to purposely infect people to get a herd immunity. They thought wiser of that afterward, but it was brought
Smart,
up.
Yeah.
I mean, I even joked with my friends that you do a coronavirus party like you used to do chickenpox parties.
Yeah.
But that's
just remember that
don't do that.
the key science for people to remember is that the human beings do not have an immunity to this virus. And that's kind of what makes it so dangerous. I think we talked about that before. We are not immune to it like we are the flu or other diseases, where we know we can beat it. Look, let's not do a full medical segment here, but we're here for you. Everyone's here for you. Digitally, be smart. We'll get through this. We always do. We step up to the plate. It's unprecedented and it's a little awkward, but I mean this. Like, thank goodness we have this technology where like we can still do this and. Honestly, people are taking care of each other. It's pretty cool. Except you, sir, that bought 600,000 rolls of toilet paper for really no reason. You're an idiot.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
I mean, there have been some. There also obviously there have been some Of course, there's also been stories of idiots out there who are. The one guy who bought 17,000 bottles of Purell in Tennessee or whatever, and then was trying to resell them at a markup, and nobody's buying from him. Like
Amazon shut him down.
Yeah. No. Exactly. Like there's obviously going to be some rough stories out there.
Most of them good though.
Most of them are good. WWE. We were talking about the XFL. WWE did SmackDown Live in front of an empty crowd on Friday, and it was actually a good show. They did it down at the Performance Center down in Orlando, Florida, and it was the show must go on, but it was smart. It was just camera crew, and the wrestlers themselves, and it was just very much. Everybody being smart, being as much as possible. AEW has not announced yet, by the way, their whether or not they're going to start canceling their live shows or doing their shows in front of empty crowds. I imagine they will follow suit sooner rather than later. No
one with the crowd is going to be allowed to operate with a crowd. Like that's super obvious at this point.
That's what you're seeing. You're seeing whether it's 100, 250, or 500. There's different states have instituted different restrictions on crowd size.
I do want to say because I have a sports perspective on this that people haven't talked about is the player on the Jazz. I can't believe I'm blanking on this. The first player to have it in the NBA.
Gobert, right? Rudy Gobert.
Yes, yeah. People are ripping him. I'm going to be honest with you. We should be thanking him. And I'll tell you why. All right. I know that him getting it in the way he was touching everything, which was really stupid. Yeah. It seems like people are like blaming him for like everything coming down. To be honest with you, it might be a real blessing in disguise that happened because no one here was taking this seriously until that happened and the NBA had to shut down.
It was the first domino. It was the first domino that fell.
It really was, right? It really was. And then shortly after, obviously, every sports league shut down within legit 24, 48 hours. Yeah. All right, but like from what I'm reading, if that hadn't happened, if that domino hadn't fallen, and let's just say it happened 2 days later, there'd be a lot more people infected right now. Like if that had not happened. So I want to take kind of the other side of this and be like, thank him for not getting it, but like, you know, and it's not patient zero or anything like that. But had that not happened, we might not be in this position, and things might be a little bit more like Italy right now and kind of panicked in the healthcare systems. The other thing I want to say is, real quick before we move on, is just, you know, this has shown us our priorities. Obviously, sports never have been a priority in reality to our lives. It's a privilege.
It's a luxury. Yeah.
I want you all out there, and I'm sure some of you have thought of this, but I don't know if everybody has. Thank your doctor, thank your medical worker right now. I am watching my wife go nonstop with very little sleep right now, all in the effort to help other people, and with a very real threat of contracting this if she's not careful. She does not have it right now. Don't worry about it. That's not happening right in this second, obviously, but she's seeing people every day with the potential of that. Thank your doctor, thank your healthcare worker. All right, and just know these people are working their butts off to help you right now. All right, I've kind of have a front row seat to it in my situation, but I want you to know that those are the real heroes right now, and they're doing everything they can to help people, to make sure that we have a way to explain to people what to do when you might have this, and also looking for a cure or deterrent or a way to make this pass faster. So I had to say that, and we talk about these sports heroes all the time, and my wife's my hero right now. You know what I mean? With what she's doing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like you said, Jan's...
And she doesn't listen to the show. So you know I'm not just saying that so she'll hear it. Sorry, but seriously, thank your healthcare worker, thank your doctor, thank your nurses, thank your people that are helping you out.
Yeah.
And if you're sick, don't call your doctor first if you're feeling sick.
Yes, call your doctor.
Okay?
I was actually just about to say that because my mom, who also doesn't listen to
Ray,
this, but my mom was like, if you feel sick, go to the doctor. I'm like, no, Ma. You got to call first, because here's the thing, because we have to remember, yes, this is dominating the headlines, but it's also winter. There's 100 different things that could happening right now that could be making you feel not well, that are not COVID-19, that are not life-threatening, that honestly you just might need some rest. And that's the other good thing about this quarantine too, is you might just be run down and you might need some rest. Take a nap. Yeah.
Don't panic if you get a runny nose. Okay?
Yes, exactly.
Just call your doctor. That's what they want you to do right now, and they'll tell you what to do, and they will take it seriously. Yes. All right, but the last thing you want to do is go into public if you somehow do have this thing and give it to 20 other people, because it's highly infectious. Let's get back to the show.
Yes. No. I mean, it's easy.
Right, that was your PSA.
Yeah.
Hopefully you didn't turn this off.
So coronavirus is not, it's got a small lethal percentage. Obviously, we know this is unfortunate. But speaking of things dying, DC Comics. In my worst,
man, I don't know where I ranked that in our transition.
It was a rough transition, folks. Just bear with me. I know it. It just was trying to get us back on track. Dying.
Can't you take this seriously, Ray? Oh my God. This is the section you've been waiting for. This is the geek section. This is the major news. Really, if you're kind of like, if you're sweeping or cleaning your house right now and you're a geek fan, you're gonna want to hear this. Stop what you're doing, all right, or just be mindful.
Yeah. So, my friend Seth Everett, I used to work with Seth at ESPN. He was on-air host. He has a podcast called The Hall of Justice. It's a geek-oriented podcast. He actually also has a sports podcast called Sports with Friends. But it's funny. So he basically, he's a geek who likes sports, but he just separated his podcast into two different ones.
That's because we're trailblazers.
But so on his Hall of Justice podcast, he has a co-host. His name's Victor Dandridge. Victor is a well-known indie comic publisher and creator. And Victor was, I guess, talking to or heard this from Ethan Van Scriver, who Ethan is a artist in the community, artist, writer, very well known for a variety of reasons. He's also done some stuff with the Comicscape, but we're not going to talk about that. But probably well known as a creator for helping with the DC Rebirth, did a lot of the art for Flash and Green Lantern and stuff like that. And the rumor that's been we know some of this is going to happen for sure. DC is going to have their third major universe reboot within a decade. That is happening. That is confirmed. That is not a rumor. That is definitely happening. It is also being called 5G. It's a double-edged sword. It's 5G as in the 5th generation of heroes, but also, for those of you who don't realize, AT&T now owns DC Comics. So 5G, like the one you get on your phone, it's a terrible idea. Again, DC, of course, was the creator of the idea of the universe reboot with Crisis on Infinite Earths back in 1985. And since then, as DC has continued to lose ground in the market, and this is a fact, Marvel is outselling DC 2-1. It's 60 Marvel, 30 DC, 10 other, which is IDW, Image, Boom, all the other indie comic publishers. DC has desperately been trying to fix things, and honestly, since New 52, they've only been digging their hole deeper and deeper and deeper. New 52 was a disaster. It's what got me out of comic books for a long time. DC Rebirth tried to be like, oh, New 52, ignore that. We're going to try and go back now. But the damage had been done. Rebirth was terrible. Sorry,
real quick on the New 52. Mm-hmm. Everything leading up to that was great. It was actually kind of amazing to me that they screwed this up because it was it Crisis, Infinite Crisis on Infinite Earths?
It was
Infinite Crisis.
Infinite Crisis, yeah.
Infinite Crisis, right? Which was an unbelievable epic saga, all right, with multiple Supermen, and it was just unbelievably well done. And then when it crashed at the end, and that's kind of how that's a metaphor for how the story ends, the New 52 came around. Yeah. And it was just such two things. One is it was okay storytelling, nothing great. Two is that it was clearly a cash grab, and it got seriously obvious very quickly because like the New 52 was like every week we're gonna do something different, and then you have to buy every issue of every like they're all
the idea
was kind
of
sound,
number ones. Look at all these new number ones you have to buy.
Yeah, and it got and again, it was just not great. And the thing is, the New 52 could have just been a normal comic run, and just aftermath. So the only example I have of DC doing this correctly, Ray, unless you disagree or you have another one, is when they did the Death of Superman, they had the Death of Superman comics. It ended. He died. Spoiler alert, if you didn't know that. All right, he dies, and then it goes right into the Reign of the Supermen, which lasted for a few months, right? It wasn't that long, if I remember correctly. And then the Return of Superman. It was well done. People survived it. We all bought the Reign of Superman comics. Everybody wanted to know which one of the four was him. Spoiler alert. It was none of them.
Yeah.
All right? And then we moved on with our comics, right? That was done correctly to me. This thing was like, okay, the DC universe is decimated. Now for 52 weeks, you have to buy 5 comics a week. And it was just like, and again, the storytelling was just okay. Some of them, and what happened is some of them were great, like Batman. You wanted to follow these things, and then after a while, you're like, okay, I don't want to read Green Lantern now, or I don't want to read this one because they're just not as good. And then you had massive plot holes. These guys would show up in comics in week 48. You have no idea what's going on, right?
Yeah, no, it was
thus proving, Ray, that Booster Gold is the greatest comic book hero of all time.
Yes. So you're mixed. So just to correct you a little bit, you're mixing up the 52 event that was a weekly comic for every week where it was this massive thing where Booster Gold was Supernova War with the New 52, which was the aftermath of a lot of stuff.
It was horrible. All of it sucked.
Yeah.
All right, like that. This is my point, and like they tried to. You can see they were replicating the Death of Superman strategy. Okay,
they're trying to, yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't. It was clearly a cash grab, dude.
Yeah,
and it was all. This was also what 10 years ago. 10 years ago, this happened.
That's what I'm saying. This was already 10 years ago. This is going to be the third DC Comics reboot in 10 years. And it was a shame because you had Infinite Crisis, you had Brightest Day, Blackest Night, you had some great events leading into, and Flashpoint itself, the Flashpoint event that triggered New 52 was actually pretty good, but. The aftermath. They didn't stick the landing, and that's the problem. And again, because like Lee said, the idea for the landing was just a cash grab. And then again with DC Rebirth, they rebooted it again, which was basically finally 5 years after Flashpoint. Like, well, this is all the repercussions of Flashpoint. We're gonna try and reset it, and we're gonna make the button a big deal again, and we're gonna try and bring Watchmen into the DC universe, but we're gonna screw that up. Like
Yeah.
they completely dropped the ball on that.
Marvel screwed this up once, to be fair, like with Spider-Man. So
Yes,
and Ray, you're gonna have to
one
fill
more
in the gaps
day,
on this.
one more day was so
yeah.
terrible.
So what Marvel had to reboot at one point. Now, what saved Marvel long term would be it's going to be the movies come into play and that changes everything. But like Marvel before the MCU, it really exploded. They tried this thing in Spider-Man where who was the bad guy? It wasn't Mephisto or
He was Mephisto. It was the devil.
Yeah.
So basically, to set up one more
Listen
day.
to this.
This is after the fallout of Civil War, right, in the comics.
Yeah.
Which
the comic Civil War, okay,
yes.
which is different than Civil War the movie. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead, Ray.
And great concept. The comic Civil War was a great concept. Again, they didn't stick the landing though, right? They had a lot of loose ends. They had this thing where Spider-Man revealed his identity to come out and join the Superhero Registration Act. Joined Iron Man. Then had a change of heart and went to Captain America's team. He put on his old black costume. It wasn't the symbiote. It was just a legitimate black costume. But now that his identity was out there, it's the idea of that it was his greatest fears coming to fruition was that all his enemies knew who he was now, and they were going to go after his family. And the Kingpin orders a hit on Spider-Man, and Aunt May gets caught in the crossfire.
Of course she does, yeah.
So everybody who with half a brain is like, oh, they're going to kill Aunt May. This is sad. But it's a good moment for the character because Spider-Man's always been about how he overcomes death and how he overcomes from Gwen Stacy, Captain Stacy, obviously Uncle Ben, and how Spider-Man continues to find the strength to carry on and be a hero.
Yes.
Great power, great responsibility. Like, right? This is what makes Spider-Man a great character. And it's like, you know what? He hasn't had one of these moments in a while. It's time. Aunt May's. It's been 50
pinnacle.
years. This is a great thing, and this is a great way to tie up a loose end. And now he might have a great rivalry with the Kingpin again. He might team up with Daredevil. Like this, there's a great way that they can go with this. And instead, they
copped out. Yeah.
And this is when the comic books started. I started to get out of comics. Spider-Man sells his marriage to Mary Jane to Mephisto, who's the devil.
You heard that right. You heard that right.
He sells his marriage. He sells his love for MJ to the devil to save Aunt May's soul, to save her life. Even though there's even a book in this 4-issue series where Aunt May is like, Peter, it's okay. It's time for me to go now. And he refuses.
Yeah,
and it is the most un-Spider-Man moment in all of my years of reading Spider-Man comics.
We all hated this, by the way.
Yes.
Ray and I hated it. Everyone we knew hated this.
Even
I don't know
the
anybody
writer,
who thought
J.
this
Michael
was good.
Straczynski came out afterwards and was like, Marvel made me do it. Marvel made me do it. I swear it wasn't my idea. Marvel made me do it. And it was like, I mean, that's how bad this 4-issue arc was, right? Yeah. But as bad as that 4-issue arc was for one character, DC...
Wait. You got to just finish the story. So he sells his marriage to Mephisto, thus rebooting the entire Marvel universe, all of it. So it restarts at that moment. Aunt May is alive. He doesn't even know Mary Jane at this point now.
No, he doesn't know her.
They're just, right? And then, but because it's the entire MCU was relaunched, right? And then I think they retconned it. Retconned it later on.
Well, they retconned it later, and so it didn't reboot it. So Civil War in general kind of helped reboot the MCU, but this moment in particular with Spider-Man, I mean, because it changed everything. Because nobody knew who Spider-Man was anymore. He wasn't an Avenger anymore. It really changed a lot of the Marvel history, and so they had to retcon it and kind of like go back to the way it was. And then they did this whole thing where they kind of they did a cop out where Mary Jane's like, it would never have worked out anyway, and people hated that because it's like, no, they were together for 25 years in
it's just poor decision making.
Yeah, and then you had bad villains come about like Swarm, who's a Nazi made of bees, and it's just like, oh god, it's
almost as good as Calendar Man.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
that's a real villain. Check it out.
But at least, courtesy of helping with the movies, and obviously Iron Man, because of the movies, Iron Man became a stronger character than he had ever been for Marvel.
Yeah, thank you, RDJ.
Yeah, no, seriously, they were able to kind of like they found their way again, right? They got back on track. DC, it's been 10 years, and they still haven't gotten back on track. And so, they're trying again now with this this new event called 5G,
it's
fifth
so
generation.
disappointing.
I mean, and again, it's the idea of it. If you don't know, folks, is that all the current DC superheroes are older. They're passing their mantles on. So
because that's what we want.
Yeah, so Bruce Wayne and Catwoman are retired to go raise their baby. And Lucius Fox's son, takes over the mantle of the Bat because, for those of you who know, Lucius Fox is now dead in the comics. And his son becomes Batwing, another member of the Bat family, uses his dad's tech to kind of build his own armored bat suit, which is actually really a great suit. But so he takes over, which already you're telling none of the Robins of all the Robins that you brought back become Batman. Jonathan Kent, who now is the third Superboy in continuity. If you go through historically, Jonathan Kent, Superman's son with Lois Lane, who they've again retconned a few times, and they accelerated his aging by sending him into space, where he got stuck on Earth 3 for a while. He's gonna take over as Superman full time. It already is making me sick to my stomach, and it hasn't even started.
I just don't get it. I don't get. People don't want that. There's no way. I'll ask you guys listening, if you want that, let us know. I mean, really, let us know, okay? Because the whole idea of comics is the stability behind them, and that I know what I'm gonna get. I think that's what people love about them, and like I said, it's amazing to me with DC, because after Infinite Crisis, and even leading up to Infinite Crisis, there was so many good storylines. Hush in Batman was massive. Yeah. Superman had a good storyline. There was one where Lex Luthor had cancer and he had to figure it out. It was all these good things were happening, and then it's they did Infinite Crisis and it all went to hell. And it's I just don't understand. I don't understand the creative room, the thinking behind this. Especially right now, I think people would love just traditional. I could be wrong, but just traditional Batman, Superman type stuff. I don't get it.
I think that, and this again is DC from a publishing side is reaching. It's a desperate measures point, right? They are at desperate measures. They just let go of Dan Didio after almost 20 years, right? Yeah. Jim Lee's in charge now, which I think is a huge mistake. I mean, if we learned anything from Jeff Johns' time in control, is that some of these folks should not be in the executive position. They are creative people. They are wonderful people. They've given us such great things in comics. They should not necessarily be in charge of the whole thing. I think, and you saw this also with Rebirth, during the Rebirth era, where DC was so desperate trying to fill in holes and so many storylines were going on at once that you had a lot of filler comics, right? A lot of what... the reason why Tom King's run, which I've said in the show, which I do not like, but part of why it's particularly bad is he had to do several story arcs to fill in the gaps as the rest of the DC continuity caught up to the stories that he was trying to tell or that he was trying to work in with, right? You've got Scott Snyder, who completely rebooted Justice League in a great way. Now having to retcon his own stuff to fit in with all of these new initiatives. And it's just gotten to the point now where the writers, they don't know what to write anymore because the creativity is coming up from on top instead of letting these writers do what they're supposed to do. Best. Right?
Here's $1 million idea.
The reason why Death of Superman was so great was because every Superman writer at the time was put in a room, and those were the guys who figured this out when DC was like, we need an event, what are we going to do? You let the writers write. And I just feel like that all of these corporate crap that's coming from the top is just not working. And the writers are doing their best to try and just put Band-Aids on gaping flesh wounds.
Here's the other thing too, is that I'm a studier of business and I run business, and this is the thing that I can't stand. So comics are a dying industry in terms of physically going to the comic store, buying comics. That's not hidden, right? And the real money in the comic properties now is in film or TV. Okay, So here's a $1 million idea, right? You're a comic expert. I'm a business expert. You tell me if you like this idea, right? I understand the allure and the old time thinking of we need kids to come to the comic book store every week. I get that. It's a dying market. You have to know that. And with what's going on in the world right now, you're not going to even get kids in the store for the next 2 weeks anyway.
Yeah.
So this is almost an opportunity, all right? What I think comic book creators should do is give up doing the weekly comic and focus more on doing books. And really strong content storytelling in books. And then once a month, you come out with the book, okay? And the books can tie in with each other. You can even have multiple books a month if you really want to, okay? But focus on strong storytelling and content. I would start buying them again at that point, all right? Because I don't have time to go to the comic book store once a week right now, nor do I want to. I'm more likely to get them digital anyway, all right? So that's what I would do. Focus on stronger stories, put them in a book format. Again, for those of you listening who might not be picking up comics, a book is pretty much an anthology of a series of issues, right?
Right.
Like put them all together once. Look what's working. Marvel and DC movies. Look what's working. You people will wait 3 years to see a movie and then pay you billions.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you built a story up and then a story comes out in DC Comics 1 month and you have to wait a month to get the next one? Yeah. It would probably work. That's my idea, all right? But and I'm also going to echo what Ray says. You can't have the non-comic people telling the comic people how to write it, all right? That is a recipe for disaster. Yeah. Okay, that's not happening at Marvel, especially when you look at the MCU. They're letting the creators run the content, and they're trusting them. Yeah. Right? But that's my idea. Is just I would love to see them go back to books. More focus on books. Put the 10 issues together into one book. Focus on story. Do it right. Then you don't have to put Band-Aids on it. Yeah, you know what I mean?
You don't need 8 Batman titles. You don't need 12 Superman
it's horrible.
titles.
Well, how about this? What if they just went back to maybe we don't need the entire DC universe to interact with each other right now. Like maybe it should be like the movies where it's like maybe just Superman, and Batman's Batman for a while. And you look at the best. I was just thinking about Hush the other day, which is an unbelievable. I don't want to spoil Hush, but it's a unbelievable story arc. You should go buy Batman Hush if you haven't. But look what's working in DC: Arkham Asylum, Arkham Knight, all those games. Right? It's a singular Batman story. Okay. Yeah. The only group up stories that are working right now is like Mortal Kombat. And that's not gonna lend itself to the comics well. Right. No, and again, like Superman and Batman go hand in hand. I could see them teaming up. I don't need the entire DC universe doing that right now. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, so we went off on a comic history tangent.
Good. You needed the distraction.
Yes, to kind of set up the. So the 5G event is definitely happening, right? 5G. So what's going to happen? But the thing is what? Yeah, I know.
Just so dumb.
But what's interesting is, and this is where Ethan Van Sciver, again, who's an artist who's worked on a lot of DC stuff in recent years, has put out that if this event fails, if this reboot, because it's like 3 strikes and you're out. Rebirth failed, New 52 failed. If 5G fails, which I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to fail.
I was gonna say I don't want it to, but it's probably
no, for sure. Again, we don't want these companies to do badly, but they're just very dumb right now. What'll probably happen is that DC Publishing will shut down. That is the rumor. Is that this is their 5G is their Hail Mary, right? And like most Hail Marys, they don't work. As you said, Lee, people are moving more to digital comics now. You're getting less people walking around a comic book store buying physical comics. Graphic novels still sell well. Collections still sell well, but the month to month 16. I mean, because you're only getting 16 pages really of content because there's so much ads. There's so many ads still in the actual book. Maybe closer to 20, but still, you're not getting as many pages as you used to. People aren't buying them anymore, and they're more expensive than they've ever been. Yeah. So there's a good chance both to print and to purchase. So there's a very good chance that if 5G fails, DC will stop publishing comic books, and that or at least in terms of physically. And if anything, you'll only go see full digital, if not completely pull the plug whatsoever. Because at this point, like you mentioned, the money, because these brands have so much to mine. There's so much to mine now from 80 years of comics, video games, movies, TV shows. There's no money in print anymore, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm saying it right now. The rumor is that DC Comics is on their last legs, And if this event does not work, DC Comics as we know it will die.
It'll go up for sale. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. So then the other thing is that now there's other rooms of thought. The reason why people are talking about possibly that DC Comics will be dead is that not only will print possibly dry up, but this is another rumor, is that if Robert Pattinson's Batman movie fails, that AT&T is looking at the numbers and wants to put DC Comics as a whole, as an entity, as all their IP up for sale. Now, this is obviously going to be two or 3 years down the line. This is, again, if 5G fails in comics, and if Robert Pattinson's Batman movie fails at the box office, that AT&T, the parent company of Warner Brothers, the parent company of DC Comics, will now be like, we're done, this is not worth it. Let's sell high while this is still, like, instead of trying to, because, again, a lot of this stuff isn't working. Instead of trying to, Joker was an aberration. They're not betting on Wonder Woman as much as they should, even though obviously that movie did very well. But, again, if these two things happen, then the rumor is that AT&T is looking to cut ties with DC Comics because it's not making them money, and it's costing them more money to try and reboot this stuff over and over again, and costing them goodwill when already their brand recognition is a mess. HBO Max, DC Universe, all this stuff is scattershot everywhere, and DC Universe, by the way, folks, is not doing well. Also, like, it was a nice test run, but it is too niche. It is not what it is. It has its subscribers, it has its fan base, but it is not as a whole doing well. AT&T is ready to press the panic button, and by 2022, we may be talking about AT&T is looking to sell DC Comics for $12 to $15 billion. Which then, of course, brings up the subject, and this is where things get obviously this is already very juicy, this information. But this is where things get interesting, is that who could buy DC Comics for $12 billion in 2022?
What storytelling entity that has succeeded in storytelling has that much money lying around that would want to buy DC? Johnson & Johnson?
No.
Procter & Gamble?
No, but... This is where it gets interesting, is that then obviously, then they truly would be a monopoly in many regards. Disney.
Disney. Oh, that seemed too obvious.
Yeah.
I knew the answer the whole time. I was
just
just joking.
Yeah. No, if Disney buys DC, and then that too, and then you bring all the content over to Disney Plus. DC, you shut down Disney.
Yeah,
look, DC Universe.
I would do it. Yeah.
DC Universe is probably going to get shut down at some point anyway, because it's just
they're missing their best writer. What?
Well, that's it's not doing great. I mean, the shows are there. I mean, Doom Patrol was great. Titans was okay, but Harley Quinn is solid. But they don't have the fan base to keep. This is a lot. They're putting out a lot of money and not getting a lot in return, right? They're not making the $150 million a month that Disney Plus is making for Disney, right?
They're not even close to that.
No, exactly. Exactly. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And we knew this was going to happen. And, I mean, even if they roll it into HBO Max, it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough to bolster that. So you roll that into, again, Disney is the favorite, but there's also a few others, possibly Amazon.
Yeah, that's a good point. YouTube, maybe Google.
YouTube, Apple TV. Yeah. The DC TV properties are very, very strong right now. It's the only thing that they have right now that's doing very, very well for them as a whole. Even, again, Titans, Doom Patrol, they're doing well. They're lauded, they're celebrated, they're good shows. Nobody's watching them here in the States because of the subscription service. They're doing very well in Europe. They're doing very well in Europe and Canada, though, because they're free on Netflix, which again is another example of DC shooting themselves in the foot. The fact that DC Universe is only here in the United States, but overseas you get those shows for free.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
Here's a thought, right? You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of when Steve Jobs came back to Apple. Apple was literally a few days away from going bankrupt. And I don't know if you know this. Do you know who Steve Jobs turned to for help?
Who?
Bill Gates. His number one technical adversary. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. And Bill Gates did it. He injected a lot of money into Apple. He could have let them die. But I think Bill Gates knew, especially at that time, that Apple needs to be around, that competition is good for business. And I think Bill Gates also understood that the industry is bigger than Microsoft. So I would not be surprised if Disney or Marvel, however you want to look at it. I mean, because remember, Disney owns a lot of different companies. Companies within Disney could buy DC.
Yeah.
Or you could incorporate it into Marvel. I'm not talking about crossover events. I'm talking about just the ownership. I could see Marvel come in to save DC because it will not be good for Marvel to not have DC around. All right, from a business standpoint.
And that's why I don't think necessarily, although they'd be the front runner because they have more money than God, Disney might not be the ones to buy them. Something like Amazon, Apple TV, even Netflix, Netflix themselves. Again, Netflix already has most of the DC shows the archives already on Netflix. And again, they already put all the DC Universe shows for free in Netflix around the world. It'd be very easy for Netflix to come in, buy DC, and just continue to add to their library when they desperately need original content. And then again, they would have something they could mine forever. Could you imagine made for Netflix DC movies? I could.
Well, yeah, I could too, and that's the direction we're going in. So yeah, look, it's an interesting thing to think about. Like I said, I could even see Marvel helping DC get to Netflix. You know what I'm trying to say? Because it's one of those things, like the more digital content you have, the better those platforms are going to do. But I think people will compete over them. I don't think Disney will look at DC like a loser. Like, what I mean by that is, like, companies won't buy companies they think are going to fail. But like DC, look, Superman and Batman are not going to go anywhere.
The IPs are still extremely powerful.
They're worth billions. I mean, I say billions of dollars.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, for as much as Disney paid for Marvel and Star Wars, I think they would actually pay more for DC. A, because it is their biggest competitor, but B, also, you would then have a monopoly on all the biggest characters in pop media, in pop culture.
Well, and look, one of the ways Marvel succeeded was to start with a few heroes and then expand the universe. Like, I think about that scene in Endgame, and it took them 10 years to get to that scene. But it started with one person. It started with Iron Man, and then they grew it from there, to the point where Spider-Man came in, which, it's a few years ago now, but if you think about when Spider-Man came in the MCU, it was a big deal. And again, from a business standpoint, you have to remember Spider-Man can have his own universe. That's how big Spider-Man is. So when you look at Batman's and Superman's, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Flash, and Green Lantern, these are your core heroes, right? You start with them. Start with them and build something. You know what I mean? You don't need the full DCU right now to survive. Just start simple and rebuild. And I can tell you right now, what they're doing, this 5G thing, from where I sit, I don't want to speak for any of the readers out there, is not where you start. I know we have a few people listen to the show that are really big DC fans. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. I know David, off the top of my head, is it David Coker?
Yeah, David, Michelle.
Kotcher, Michelle Bakker-Olaski. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this. And I want honest thoughts. I don't want you just to defend DC, because I know you love DC. And you guys give me hope for DC because of your fandom. I watch what you guys post and I read what you guys write.
Randall's another one, obviously.
Randall Begins. That's his name on Facebook. But let us know what you think. And we'll cut this up so we make sure you hear the shout out, and we'll tag you in the shout out so you know we're talking about this. I want to know from DC fans, like you are diehard DC fans. Ray, not that you're not, okay?
Yeah.
Ray's a massive Batman fan, for those of you who don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge DC fan. It is. I want them to do well. It's just, it's very hard to support the product right now because it's really bad. It's just really bad.
Where do we move? The fans of DC must answer. Where do you like to see this go? What do you think the solution is? And how should DC move forward from both a comic point, a TV point, and a major motion picture point to succeed? I think it's reducing the universe down to a few traditional heroes and starting over with them in a traditional way, where you can get, look, here's the thing. I think about things all the time, like reboots and like Star Wars and stuff, and it's like, I'm sharing that with my son. We actually watched The Phantom Menace the other night. He loved the pod racing scene, which, by the way, real super side note, I have to fit Star Wars in somehow. I watched the pod racing, the entire pod racing sequence again. That movie is so far ahead of its time. It's incredible. When you look at the animation in the pod racing scene from The Phantom Menace, it does not look dated today. At all. It looks like it could have been made today. That's how we never gave George Lucas enough credit for that scene.
Yeah,
In that
special effects and
movie,
technical
yeah,
stuff,
yeah, there are things in that movie that have not aged well, like Boss Nass and some of the Jar Jar stuff. But like I watched that, and then I watched some footage from other movies just 5 years ago, and it's not as good.
Yeah.
And Phantom Menace is 20 years old, 21 years old. It's 21 years old, and it looks like it was made today. That's saying something. Just want to throw that out there. But anyway, let us know what you think about DC. Where's DC go from here? Who's going to buy him? Because it's going to get sold.
Yeah, again, it's 2 or 3 years down the road, but it's all signs are pointing that that's the road it's going to take. And also, very briefly, I just want to mention, because you mentioned how Microsoft helped Apple. Do you know who helped?
Yeah.
Do you know who helped Marvel get off the ground back in the day?
Wasn't it DC?
Yeah, it was DC.
Yeah, that was
DC.
around the time of Blade, right? Oh, back in the day. No, yeah. You're talking a while ago.
I'm talking like about like when Marvel originally started as Marvel Comics in the 60s.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it was,
listen,
DC gave Marvel the shelf space, and then very smartly, Marvel did what DC did back in the day. The reason why Action Comics and Detective Comics, these books were anthologies. They were massive, like 64 to like 100-page books. And
imagine that.
And then what it was that the characters that were in some of these stories that did very well, those were the ones who were spun off into their own series. And same thing, and Marvel did the exact same thing in the 60s. That's why Spider-Man's first appearance is Amazing Fantasy number 15. Yes. He was spun out. Doctor Strange, you had House of Suspense and House of Horror. You had all these books that were like, and if you're looking for heroes and individual stories, you didn't have Spider-Man 1 and Thor 1 and Doctor Strange 1 until they spun out of all of these books.
Yeah, very, very few of the top comic properties of all time started with their own name on an issue. Very, very few.
Yes.
Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. I think the X-Men did, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
I think that's one of the few, but that was much later on. That was Stan Lee. Anyway. Let us know what you think. I'm very curious to hear from the audience on this because it's an interesting time for comics, and I don't think comics will go away, but they do have to change how they're doing things.
Yeah, no, for sure. And this is going to be a real test because 5G is going to fail. But yeah, so
and we will be the first to admit if we're wrong, just so you know.
Yes, no, for sure. Like, I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't. The market is not going that way.
Yes.
Moving in now to our mashup.
Yes, I've been prepared for this. I have more notes.
Yes, this is.
There we go.
I'm
very
excited
excited
about
me
and Lee, me and Lee talk like every day. Like, honestly,
every day.
Like, seriously,
every freaking day.
Yeah. Sometimes multiple times a day, depending on what's happening.
In fact, we do it so much we are now best friends on Pokemon Go. I hope all of you feel that we are best friends.
Yes.
It took a long time to get there, and 100,000 experience points, but we got there.
Yes. Also, unfortunately, Pokemon Community Day, which was supposed to be today, was canceled because of COVID-19.
Smartly so. Yeah.
But it's a
gotta catch them all, but you don't want to catch COVID-19.
Yes, exactly. That's what you don't want to catch. Yes, exactly. That is something for us to segue into our mashup. Obviously, the big news again is the coronavirus. We were talking about it earlier. Also, we've been talking very heavily about comic books and their history. So we decided as a mashup is what if COVID-19 spoke like traditional superhero villains? What if it had a persona?
Yes.
What if it was a
supervillain
persona? So Lee, I know you've been chomping at the bit, buddy. I know
we've had so many.
I'll let you kick things off.
I'm not going to start with the best one, but I'm going to start with the obvious ones. Okay, so again, the idea here is, what would the supervillains be like with this going on, right? Or if they caused it. So the obvious one, right off the top of the bat, is Ray. Execute order COVID-19.
Yeah.
Right? Listen, we're going to treat this thing like a freaking supervillain because screw it, right? It's a bad guy. We're the good guys. There's more of us than them. But there's so many villains. So the first one I had, I hit my camera. The first one I had is Palpatine's execute order COVID-19. Show no mercy. Take no prisoners. Right? It will be done, man. Right? Then we have the henceforth be known as Darth Covader. Rise.
Oh, man.
I pledge myself to your teachings. I'm trying to talk like Hayden Christensen did in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I mean, my favorite is thinking of the guy in Tennessee who bought all the Purell, but as the Penguin. I have all the Purell. I'll mark it up so high they'll have to buy it from me, though. I'm the only source.
I played this stinking planet
like a harp from hell.
I'll sanitize this planet.
Yeah.
So you change it. All right, but there's a lot of Batman events. So the next one I have for you are three people that I'd like to hear from. Two of them. One, they're physicians, right?
Yes.
So, Dr. Doom and Dr. Octopus might have some cool things to say about this.
Yeah.
Right? Or create it. They're doctors. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay? Again, I get a lot of them here. Bane. Bane is completely protected because of his face mask.
Yes, Bane. I love the meme going around of Bane being a visionary.
Yes.
Wore a mask,
Yes.
got rid of sporting events.
Yes.
It's like, you were born in the I was born in the virus.
Take control of your city.
Yeah. You
not let COVID
merely
in.
adopted COVID-19. I was born.
I was born into it.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, it was blinding.
Yeah. Oh gosh, there's so many good ones.
You stand here with your false medicines. Take control of your city.
Yeah.
What else does he say?
Oh, no. Calm down, doctor. Now is not the time for fear. That comes
that
later.
comes later.
Perfect. It's a perfect scene.
By the way, all you have to do a Bane voice, if you want to do a good Bane voice, is you have to Darth Vader it with your hands.
Now my hands are over my face. And then you have to Sean Connery it. Right?
Yes,
that's how you get.
that's it.
Ray, give me something to say. Anything you want to say, and I'll turn it into Bane speak.
Oh God.
The NHL season is canceled.
Yeah.
The age of 5G is here.
Yeah, yes.
DC Comics will live on if I have anything to say about it. That's definitely not Sean Connery, but yeah. We used to do a lot of movie...
I should take my hands off my face. We used to do a lot of movie quotes.
Frankly, Scarlett, I don't give a damn.
Like, there's so many things you could do. Ready? How about this one? This is... I am inevitable, and I am Iron Man. Just keep going. All right. So, Bane's a good one. Zod, right? Kneel before Cove Zod.
Yeah,
that's one.
Another one that's going around obviously is the Thanos one. It's where Scarlet Witch is like, you took everything from me, and he's like, Thanos is like, I don't even know who you. As the virus, I don't even know who you are.
I don't even know who you are. You will, right? Because we're gonna beat this thing. Well, I was thinking about Sinestro. Breeds on fear with the yellow ring of power of fear.
Yes.
Right. So that's just basically the media right now.
Yes.
Right? The Yellow Lantern Corps is the media of the world.
Yeah.
Right. That's not doing their job. Right. So Sinestro might be behind that. Tell them to buy the toilet paper.
Another one I thought of from the Street Fighter movie, M. Bison. COVID-19 came to your village and it changed your life, but for me it was Tuesday.
Yeah. Too bad Raul Julia was dying in that film, but yeah.
I know. God, he had stomach cancer. Ugh.
Listen, give him credit for even doing the film.
Oh, well, he did it for his kids. You can't blame him for that.
I know. I got other names here. Like, what would Magneto have to say about this? He'd probably turn into a hero, though. Magneto tends to want to say, or maybe let them kill us and the mutants would survive. Now you know what it's like to be infected. Lex Luthor. He tried to save himself.
This is my favorite one of you. You were doing yours yesterday.
I did this yesterday. Go ahead. You can do it, right? It's fine.
No. You do it. It's yours. You do it.
All right. So this is from. You have to have seen Superman, the 1978 Superman movie.
Yes, with Gene Hackman.
When Gene Hackman is Lex Luthor, the greatest criminal mind of our time, and his henchman Otis. So I said Covidburg. It's a little place. Covidburg.
Because again, you gotta remember he's gonna change the he's gonna let half California fall into the ocean.
Yeah,
so that he has all this beachfront property. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which is exactly the plot from Superman Returns for some reason, but on the East Coast. But Covidburg, Ray.
Yeah. No.
How about this one, Ray? Ray, you'll like this, right? The Traveler has come. What did you do, Ray? I tried to think of a small virus, something that possibly couldn't hurt us. What did you do? It's COVID-19.
It's good. Oh God. Yeah. Another.
Ozymandias be like, I had to get an atomic man to make an atomic bomb and blow up New York City, and this little bastard comes around and shuts the entire planet down? What the hell? Maybe he's not the smartest man in the world. Who knows?
Oh man, another one. So one of my favorite versions of Apocalypse is actually from the video game X-Men Legends and X-Men Legends 2. And I love he has this one scene towards in the middle where he's taking over and he's like, only the strong survive. And I'm just like, yeah, that works here. That works here really well.
So does the thought of Ra's and Talia al Ghul just hanging out in a Lazarus pit, just sitting in there, right? Which just regenerates life. I bet you Batman's wishes he didn't destroy those now, right?
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Okay, here's another one. What would Loki be doing right now?
Loki's probably part of the media too. He's just like, or Loki's at every bar that still hasn't closed yet. Like
right. Serving drinks.
Yeah.
All right, we have to. We're running out of time. We have to get to the obvious one. We saved the best for last, which is the Joker, and there are just so many quotes that work. I'll start with the most recent ones. Ray, what do you get when you cross a not mentally ill in this case, loner with society that abandons him and treats him like trash? Well, you get COVID-19 because I can't say the actual other one. You get what you deserve, right? Or the flu kills hundreds of thousands of people a year. But I tell you, the one little basketball player gets COVID-19 and everyone loses their minds.
Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, from Ledger's joke.
Wait till they get a load of me.
Oh, that's another one. That's another one that's going around now with Jack Nicholson's.
Right.
Wait till they get a load of me.
Yeah. Where do the doctors get those wonderful toys?
Yeah. Oh man.
There's so many of them. The Joker quotes are endless on this one. They're endless on this one.
Oh, Bob, COVID-19.
Yeah, you are my number one virus.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, we got a live one here.
Yeah, the Joker would be loving this if he was around. Good thing we're getting a sequel. Now we know what the sequel is going to be about. It's a live, just a live sequel all the time.
Yes, the virus is mightier than the sword.
Right, let us know what your supervillain quote is. Comment below. Again, we're having fun with this. We're trying to brighten the room. I do want to say, and Ray will echo this in a minute, on a serious note, be kind to each other. Try and find light in the darkness. Make sure you get off social media every once in a while. Go outside. Yes. Do not drown in a news feed or a news.
Go for a walk.
Yeah. Yes. We will be fine. We will defeat this thing if you stay smart. Ray and I are very, very happy to continue to do these shows to give you a distraction. It's good for us, too. It gives us a distraction. I told Ray the other night I did something on my other channel in the kind of the height of all this panic that was starting to happen. I felt so much better afterwards.
Yeah.
We as people are triumphant over things like this. Every time they happen, it will be no different here. And I want to thank you all for listening. If you did listen to this entire episode, just be safe out there. Be smart. Take care of yourself and your family, and please stay 6 to 8 feet away from me.
Yeah, if you do go for a walk, still try to avoid people. Like, I went for a walk yesterday, and me and everybody else, we would like do the dance. We're like, we tried to be on opposite ends of the sidewalk. Yeah. But
did you see the guy that's wearing the circle on suspenders?
Oh,
he's got this big
Italy,
circle.
So funny.
I mean, that's the kind of human triumphants, man.
Exactly.
Innovation.
Thing,
just remember,
yes.
Yeah. Sir Isaac Newton discovered gravity during the outbreak of the 1600s, which I can't remember what disease it was. Bubonic plague, I think.
But I think it might have been the plague.
Yeah. Lots of things can happen right now. This might be a blessing in disguise to spend time with your families.
Yeah.
Try always look on the bright side of your life. Thank you. That's my PSA and my statement. This is Lee Elias. Throwing it over to Ray. We'll see you guys soon. Hopefully early next week. Let us know.
Yes. Again, let us know. Comment below if you want us to do 2 episodes a week. We are happy to do a second one. If you guys need this, this will probably be. I mean, again, we're trying to get away from focusing on the virus as much, and we hope that we're hoping we provided you guys with a little brief reprieve. But again, we want to know what you guys think about everything we talk about on the show. We want to know what you think of. NFL CBA, the death of DC Comics, obviously what supervillain could be the virus.
Feel free to give us topics. We need them.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you guys always listening. We appreciate you guys commenting, sharing, moving the videos around, and obviously listening to the podcast. Again, you can listen to us as always wherever podcasts are heard. We're on iTunes, we're on SoundCloud, we're on Stitcher, we're on Spotify, we're on iHeartRadio. We are there. Email us geekswholikesports@gmail.com. Yeah, obviously we're on YouTube. We have geekswholikesports.com. We have our Facebook group, which is our core. Like we share, bring more people into the fold. Spread the podcast like the virus spreads.
Yeah, spread the podcast and not the virus. That's what you wanted to say.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I meant. But yeah, no, thank you all for listening. For Lee, I'm Ray. We hope we have a great week, a great weekend, and we will talk to you hopefully sooner rather than later. All right, take it easy, everybody.